Welcome back to LEGO Wars and the final heat of Series 5. Last time out we lost another high scalp as the 4th seed Shatterstar crashed down to Earth to join a long list of faltering all-stars this series. Tonight it's time for last year's runner-up Kraken to make their charge to go one better this series alongside one of the all-stars of LEGO Wars, Atlas, lining up 23rd. Let's see who will complete our Series 5 challenges.
First, from Titusville, Florida, and seeded number 2, Kraken.
Last year's standout rookies made it all the way to the grand final mostly without a weapon, but with their chain issues fixed they could go all the way.
From Great Yarmouth and seeded number 23, Atlas.
The former international champs are out to rebuild their reputation after some iffy performances in recent specials.
From Hull, Romp.
The flail machine was one of the stars of Champions after it KO'd Whitehole and Froggy and will hope to replicate that pedigree in the main series.
From South Shields, Polymorph.
The first proper Swiss Army bot enters the war zone hoping to make alphabetic spaghetti of its foes with its fearsome set of weapons.
From Glasgow, Cron's blow.
Cron just missed out on a seeding this series, but it always performs best with a chip on its shoulder, so we may be in for some more 4-bar fun tonight. We'll start tonight with a 2nd seed's Kraken against Chomp, hoping a KO on the flail machine will help bring good luck like it did to our last 2 series champs.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Away we go then for the final heat of LEGO Wars Series 5 and a welcome return to last year's runners-up Kraken. The number 2 seed taking on a Chomp robot, which of course had an amazing run in LEGO Wars Champions, making it to the heat final of its respective heat. Of course, Kraken did not have a great time. They lost in a double KO to Harold in Champions, and that was the end of their run. So we'll have to wait and see here how they get on in their sticky sophomore season, I think is going to be the way to describe this, because they've got a pretty difficult heat to get out of. They've got a good robot base and a much improved weapon system, they say. Love to see how they deal with Chomp, who of course are back for a 3rd tilt at the LEGO Wars title. Chomp with the overhead spinner trying to get up to speed and up to full power and killing velocity. And we have seen it has the capability to cause damage. Let's see if they can deal with Kraken's damage capacity themselves. Kraken's weapon has stopped and is currently statuesque. Down goes the pit. Kraken bailing for the pit button against Chomp. Not the most, let's say, the most extravagant of opponents, but Kraken's drive system is actually very good, and they proved that last series. They're going to try and aim to do so once again this time around. Now they have the pedigree of being the number 2 seed on their side as well. Chomp's weapon is still working happily. It's very clear to me that Kraken's is not, and that will be a concern. They said they made a lot of adjustments and improvements to the Kraken weapon system this time, and currently we're seeing not a whole lot of it, which is a real shame. Kraken chasing and harrying Chomp, and they're being pushed towards the pit here. Chomp, the drive system of Kraken, although the Kraken, for a second I thought we were going to commit Harry Carry as they put 2 wheels over the pit, but they've managed to escape, and they've boxed Chomp in. They've pushed Chomp over the lip of the pit. Chomp hanging on for dear life and being pushed down now. The number 2 seeds get off to a winning start as Chomp goes down the pit. Well, last series' runner-up got off to a very good start in this series as well, with a knockout win and 3 points on the board. However, they will be disappointed that their weapon, despite the obvious improvements they've made, did once again break. That'll be a concern for them going forward in the heat. Chomp did get some good hits off of its own, proving that the run in Champions wasn't a fluke, but Kraken's superior driving ability and skill enabled them to win via the pit.
The chain held on this time, but there seems to be some gear trouble for Kraken as they relied on their drive once again to secure a KO. Next up is the 23rd seed's Atlas against the rookies Polymorph.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Fight number 2 of the night then sees brand new robot Polymorph taking on the 23rd seed and former LEGO Wars runners-up Atlas. Dip down the rankings these days, went out in the round of 32 last series, but Atlas is a stalwart of the series. They've been in, I say, every series since Series 2, and every single series they have made the bracket. It is a very, very good strike rate, of course, former international champions as well, and former YouTubers special champions as well. Original concept creator Anderson9132, former commentator, of course, of LEGO Wars. He hopes that Atlas will win one more trophy and then retire. We will see. Maybe LEGO Wars Series 5 will be that trophy. They're having a good start here against Polymorph, the rookies, using that big bucket scoop at the front to lift Polymorph up. Polymorph, very interesting robot based off of the creature, well, they're named after the creature from Red Dwarf. But Polymorph is the first full interchangeable weapon robot in LEGO Wars history, they claim. And they will also claim they're going to use every single setup tonight to their detriment. So be it. We'll have to wait and see if it pays off for them here. Polymorph trying to activate the pit and gets it on the third or fourth try of asking. Atlas using the big bucket scoop to pry open that jaw at the front, the gripping jaw. We'll have to see what other weapons they've got later on tonight. Although Polymorph, I have to say, doing pretty well against the former runners-up so far. They've been very agile and manoeuvrable. Atlas, as it is, quite ponderous these days with the caterpillar tracks on either side of the robot, but Polymorph does seem a little bit back heavy and a little bit unstable. We'll have to see if that costs them as the heat goes on. Atlas trying to get that big lifting bucket scooping underneath once again and try and lever Polymorph up and over. And look, the purple detailing on Polymorph. But a good turn there from Atlas and a good lift, and Polymorph is now onto its back. And can Polymorph get away from there? Can they self-right? I'm not entirely sure they can. The experience of Atlas here massively on show. The 23rd seeds, like I said, they may have slipped down the rankings a little bit these days, but they are still capable of a strong performance like this. And Atlas, driven beautifully in this fight, has commanded a win and 3 points on the board. Atlas, and a round of applause in the background, well deserved for Atlas, with 3 points on the board and a KO win. Well, it seems to me like the 23rd seed have still got it. Atlas using all their experience and know-how in the arena to secure a win here. Good lift as well on Polymorph early on. Couldn't quite get them over. Polymorph, for a complete rookie going up against a absolute stalwart veteran, did pretty well with the Crusher setup. We'll have to see how their other weapons go later on. They weren't able to really utilise it to maximise their potential, but Atlas is a tough opponent. In the end, they were turned upside down and subsequently pitted by the former runners-up.
A textbook display from Atlas to topple Polymorph as our seeds are looking strong so far tonight. Kraken are back in action now to extend this run as they take on former reserve superstars Cronsplo.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then for fight number 3, and the very last robot to make its appearance in LEGO Wars Series 5 is Cronsplo and Squire. Cronsplo, of course, representing Sweden in the internationals, did pretty well if I remember correctly. I can't remember. But it is now no longer the only 4-bar in LEGO Wars. Womp womp. Cronsplo pushes back on Kraken, the Kraken weapon back up to speed again. They seem to have fixed whatever the issue was in that first fight, and down onto the top of Cronsplo comes the Kraken weapon, Squire pinned in behind. But now down comes the weapon again on Squire. Squire being pushed back by Kraken. Some kind of chain has been ripped off of one of the robots. I'm not entirely sure which one. And down goes the pit, almost catching Squire out there. But Cronsplo being pushed towards the pit and down the pit. That was a very quick fight. Kraken, as clinical as you like, gets the win over Cronsplo. They're down the pit. Squire, it's too late for you, son. You're beaten. Well, it's a shame we didn't really get to see much of Cronsplo in this fight. We saw them go at a pincer attack on Kraken early on, but Kraken were able to resist that quite well. They were pushed against the arena wall, but were able to bring the weapon down onto Cronsplo. The weapon kept working for most of the fight. The chains, I think, came off Squire, and Squire almost ended up down the pit, but it was Cronsplo that ended up in the pit not long afterwards, after a well-timed shove from Kraken.
Cron seemed to stall out at the worst possible spot as Kraken sweeps another 3 points. We will finally see somebody else get some points on the board as Polymorph has a different weapon in store for Chomp Romp.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Well, both of these two will be hoping to get their heat back on track. Chomp Romp up to speed, as is Polymorph. Polymorph using their vertical spinner setup in this fight against Chomp Romp. They feel that it could give them an advantage against the large horizontal spinner with the chain chomps on the end of the overhead. Polymorph a little bit more stable in this form, they say, although still rearing its back, isn't it? Whenever it kind of bucks up like a donkey when it tries to reverse like that. See, it's like a little buckaroo. The weapon of Chomp Romp up to speed and spinning well. We've seen the devastating effect it can cause on their opponents. Not on this occasion, though, there. Chomp Romp up to speed again. Clatters into the side of Polymorph. Polymorph going weapon to weapon now with Chomp. Chomp trying to come into the attack again. Something's come flying off. I think it was the top armour of Chomp has gone flying out of the arena. More has gone behind the screws here. Polymorph up to speed again. That weapon certainly does look interesting and pretty effective on Polymorph, doesn't it? Changing forms to suit their opponent. They'll be very happy with that. And more damage sustained there by Chomp. This is a good performance from the rookies Polymorph here. And there goes one of the chain Chomps completely shredded by Polymorph. Polymorph looking the more aggressive of the two. Maybe not the most controlled robot in the world, as we've seen on a couple of occasions in this fight. But that on the floor is the weapon chain of Polymorph. And that could be crucial damage. The tide of the fight may change now. No weapon on Polymorph. They've got lots of power in the drive, but have they got the control to utilise it? Chomp using their low centre of gravity to great effect and pushing Polymorph towards the pit. Good push here from Chomp, but a great turnaround in this fight. Polymorph down the pit. Chomp with a win and 3 points on the board. Well, I thought the rookies started this fight very, very well indeed. The vertical spinner attachment weapon did very well, I thought. It came flying across the arena on a number of occasions and did cause a lot of damage to Chomp, and Chomp subsequently lost a lot of their top armour, and indeed one of the chain Chomps was shredded here as well. There it goes into the background, but as soon as that impact there happened, the weapon chain of Polymorph came off, the fight turned, and Chomp turned them round and put them into the pit.
Polymorph seems to be lacking any sort of control as they get shoved down the pit by Chomp as they continue their somewhat successful year. Next up, we're back in rematch territory from Series 3. Back then, Cron was the lucky reserves that had clawed their way into the top 16, but an Atlas at the top of its game was one step too far for the 4-bar as they got propped on its back panels. Let's see if they can get revenge.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Squire starts atop Cronsblow and stays on top of Cronsblow as they go face to face with the 23rd seed Atlas. Atlas getting that scoop right and underneath the lifter of Cronsblow and lifting the lifter up, and Squire is stuck on top of Cronsblow and can't get away. Off comes the front face panel of Cronsblow. Cronsblow responds very well, pushes Atlas back across the arena. Squire trying to get involved as well. Next to Atlas. Atlas responds, good push back and a good heave-ho. This is a good start to the fight between these two. Atlas getting that bucket scoop once again right and underneath the lifter. Look of Cronsblow lifting it up by the chin almost. Grisly thought, isn't it? Squire once again trying to get involved in the match, still sporting the Lemmings branding on the back. Doing a pretty decent job of holding up their memory at the moment. R.I.P. the Lemmings, we miss you. Absolutely not. Off comes a drive chain. I think it was off. I don't know who that was off actually. It might have been off Squire. Squire goes for the pit button and gets it. Cronsblow reacts and zips across the arena floor, gets away from Atlas. Squire around the back of Atlas and trying to push them against the rear arena wall. Back into play now comes the lifter of Atlas, trying to get in underneath Cronsblow. Cronsblow with a good shove and going sideways and drifting at the moment is Atlas, and they're being boxed towards the pit. This is a good teamwork effort here from the mini bot and the main bot, but good driving from Atlas, gets away and moves into the centre of the arena once again, safely away from the pit. Good driving from Atlas, as we are accustomed to from the former runners-up of LEGO Wars all the way back in Series 2. And there's still a force to reckon with today. The old dog still has a few tricks left in it. Or I believe the kids these days say, Unk still got it. Yeah. I'm down with the kids, don't you worry about that. Off comes the Lance of, not Sir Lance of Frog, but Cronsblow. And that side of drive now is unprotected. A good lift again here from Atlas. In underneath the lifter, once again peeling it up and now lifting the entire robot up once again. But Cronsblow drives away. Good control back on the attack again. This is a good fight between these two. A good control match, and now Cronsblow gets in underneath the bucket scoop of Atlas and is lifting it up. Maybe try and get onto the screws, perhaps. Squire bullying as well. Still involved in the fight. The all-terrain drive there of Atlas does well of dealing with the debris left by Cronsblow. Cronsblow's Lance is now stuck in the bucket of Atlas, and Atlas once again responds and lifts up Squire. Can they turn Squire over? Not quite. Squire stuck now on the discarded Lance of Cronsblow. Cronsblow gets in underneath this time, can't push Atlas towards the pit. Atlas responds again, gets in underneath once more. Pushing Cronsblow back, the wheels spinning because they're off the ground, the powered wheels are, and they're being lifted up. Cronsblow against the arena wall, good driving in by Atlas, more damage sustained by Cronsplow. One of the forks off the front have come off. We are going down to time here between these two. 4 seconds, 3 seconds. It's going to go to the judges between Cronsplow and Atlas. It's a very, very good fight between the two. A good control match. And our panel of experts will have to decide who wins this one. It was a good back and forth control match between these two, wasn't it? Excellent start from Atlas, getting the bucket scoop in underneath Cronsplow. Cronsplow responds in turn. Good driving between the two teams. Atlas again responded with a good lift of its own. Squire had its opportunity here, trying to push Atlas down the pit, didn't quite get it. I feel Atlas had the better weapon effectiveness throughout the fight. The aggression, not sure. The control, not sure. Tough one for the judges in this very close encounter between two good control bots.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Atlas. The Atlas of old appears to have finally returned tonight as they take 2 more points at half-time. Kraken meanwhile have their first chance to steal a bracket spot, while Polymorph is hoping their final weapon time can claw them back into contention.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Second half of the heat begins now then with the second seeds. Kraken taking on Polymorph with its now face spinner setup similar to that of Harold. And they'll be hoping they can cause some damage to the weapon of Kraken. They can't bring the weapon of Kraken down onto Polymorph in this form, can they? It's a good little addition. They once again have thought about their opponent and use a weapon that could suit them in the match. Polymorph's weapon trying to cause damage to Kraken as well. The side panel has been ripped away, and there goes one of the drive chains, look, of Kraken too. So they are struggling here, the second seeds, the runners-up from last series. In goes Polymorph once again, trying to get that weapon into play. How would you assess these two's heats so far? Kraken, I think you'd have to say, on an A+. They've won both their fights by a knockout. They cannot possibly have done any better. They have got maximum points. Polymorph, probably ungraded, yet to get off the mark. You wouldn't look at it from this fight, would you? You wouldn't look like one robot has maximum points, one of them has minimum, because so far I would say that Polymorph is doing a decent job in this fight, although they are stuck at the moment. Kraken struggling with the pit, but eventually it goes down. Polymorph's weapon back up to speed again, and the weapon is slowly coming loose. You can see it wibbling and wobbling in the wind. Is Kraken going to be able to use its manoeuvrability to try and pry that weapon off of it? Look at it shaking itself to bits here. Oh, and there goes more damage on Kraken. Polymorph using that weapon. A menace to society it may be, but Kraken is so sturdy and experienced now, the second seeds. Can they utilise that experience in the correct way, I wonder? Polymorph brings the weapon into blows once again, not quite causing the damage it did earlier. That weapon is definitely slowly coming away, isn't it? It's kind of slowly falling out of its mounting. Kraken doing a decent job now of kind of controlling the pace of the fight, although they are taking damage throughout this match. So far, I'd say a good account of themselves from Polymorph. The rookies against the runners-up from last series, and Polymorph is now really struggling to drive. Look, it's almost like it's off balance. The weight has kind of. David Cameron, there goes the weapon of Polymorph. I said it was coming loose. I was going to say it looked like it was off centre and off balance, and now we can see why the weapon has come clean out of Polymorph. That is major damage in this fight, and Kraken, despite all the armour panels being ripped away, it's only superficial damage. The robot is still fully functional, although the weapon has stopped. I wonder if that is a tactical thing or it's just broken. But that is major, major damage now to Polymorph, and Kraken here has the tide of the fight turned. They're pushing Polymorph back. The pit is yawning open. Can they push the rookies down the pit, or can Polymorph spring a surprise here? They have stopped still. Kraken is bumping into them. There is no movement from Polymorph, but I think we're going to survive to the timer, and the judges will have to decide between the two, but I think Polymorph's in big trouble here.
6.
We are going to go to the judges, but Polymorph could be dead on arrival. Kraken's still moving at the end, though. What a fight. Well, regardless of what happens after the decision, I think it's fair to give Polymorph a lot of credit here. They have entered as rookies this series, and they are going to score a point regardless of the result here, so well done to them. And they started very strongly against a very, very competitive Kraken. Of course, they were the second seeds last series. They've made it all the way to the final and did a very good job of systematically pulling it apart. The weapon coming off here, though, could be crucial, and at the end of the fight, they were completely immobilised. Will it be enough for the judges to sway their vote?
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Kraken. That was absolute chaos from Polymorph as they ensure 69 out of our 70 competitors this series get points. Nice. Anyway, they're still in peril of dropping out as Chomp takes on Atlas.
Oh, should it be grey on top? Where's the... There we go. I'm gonna say
Configuration.
it's reversible.
Yeah.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Some vanity issues there for Chomp pre-fight, but we are off and underway. Chomp's weapon up to spinning speed very, very nicely, and Atlas very cagily, not really knowing how to deal with Chomp. There goes the weapon to weapon impact, trying to use that bucket scoop to deflect the Chomp weapon. Of course, Chomp will be aiming for those tracks of Atlas, which are so vulnerable to horizontal spinners, and they'll be doing their best to try and avoid the Chomp weapon themselves. Atlas, the 23 seeds, doing pretty well so far. 2 wins on the board, 1 via the judges, 1 via knockout, of course knocking out Polymorph with the Crusher setup earlier on in the night, and that's a great lift on Chomp. Can they turn Chomp over? No, Chomp comes crashing down onto the floor, almost in turn upending Atlas. Atlas backs away, using the scoop to deflect the spinner. Once again, a good control from Atlas, once again pinning Chomp against the wall. A little bit of a timeout for them. And up comes the big scoop of Atlas. It may be ponderous, it may be slow, but it is very, very effective. There is a reason why every single series since they've entered LEGO Wars, Atlas has made the bracket. And they'll be hoping to do so once again here. I think a win basically guarantees them a spot in the bracket, to be honest with you. Now, this is a dangerous situation for them. Chomp to the side. They just about get away in time before that weapon can start spinning up and causing some real havoc on its manoeuvrability, on its tracks. Look, either side. Good driving once again from Atlas. Will they be released, Chomp from this prison? I have no idea. Good driving again though, keeping them pinned against the arena wall. Again, maybe not one for high octane action, Atlas, but you can't deny the way that they go about fighting is extremely effective, and thus far very successful for them. They've got a couple of trophies in the cabinet at home. They'll be hoping to add a couple more before Atlas goes into retirement one day. Hopefully not anytime soon though. They've got a great little chance here to beat Chomp. In underneath Chomp once again, trying to use the bucket scoop. Good push against the arena wall. Chomp stays still, gets away, but only back into the clutches of Atlas. And now Atlas pushes Chomp right into the corner by the pit. Can they get away from there? Chomp have to be very careful and very manoeuvrable to get away from there. Atlas lowers and lifts its scoop, saying, come on men, come after me. And they're going to try and do so, Chomp. They go round the pit. Can they get away without falling in? Yes, they can. Good driving from Chomp. Atlas will be hoping that they've done enough to go and get a win here via the judges, because it is going to go to the judges unless there is a dramatic change within the last few seconds. I think Atlas has absolutely controlled this fight perfectly, but I'm not a judge. Chomp couldn't quite get their weapon into play as they would have liked. It goes to time and a panel of experts. Well, I have to say, that has to be one of the most one-sided fights I think I've ever seen. Chomp was barely given a sniff in this fight. Atlas controlled the pace from start to finish. They used the bucket scoop brilliantly. They almost got Chomp over right out of the gate. Couldn't quite manage it, but Chomp was never able to test those tracks at the side of Atlas. Atlas beautifully holding that scoop just high enough so they couldn't get caught out. And I think Chomp was just outclassed by the better robot.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Atlas. Atlas seemed to run into thermal trouble, but they've held on for the win to confirm both of our seeds will make the bracket. Chomp and Cron still have a play-in berth to fight for, and the latter needs a win in their next fight against already out Polymorph.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then for Polymorph's final fight of the night. They require snookers if they want to qualify for the bracket, but they first of all need to win this fight. They've got a good start in this fight, turning Squire over. That's the kind of form we need to see going forward for them to get any sniff of getting a play-in berth. So far, 1 point on the board, but more damage sustained there by Kronsblow. Off comes the face, off comes the lance as well at the side. Pushed into the corner goes Polymorph, but is fighting back with the face spinner attachment, ripping off one of the wedgelets as well. I was going to say forks, they're not really forks, are they, on Squire? They're more wedgelets. In goes Cron's blow, pushing back on Polymorph. Polymorph's wheels spinning, not really able to use the grip they have to kind of manoeuvre across the arena. Polymorph's weapon up to speed once again is shaking away, and there goes the weapon once more. It has completely come off its mounting and hitting the pit button. Is Cron's blow wheeling around the arena is Polymorph, because they have got so much weight at the I think the rear of the robot. It just kind of wheelies wherever it goes. Squire is having fun taking on the arena spikes. Meant to be fighting your opponents. Another wheelie from Polymorph with his hands in the air. It looks like going face to face with Cron's blow once again. Cron's blow pushed back, but wheels off the floor, but not really able to do anything with it. Polymorph, they're getting it underneath, but not really in underneath. Do you know what I mean? I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of, difficult when your job is to talk over the fight, and I'm not really able to find the words to describe what's happening to you. It's very tricky. Cron's blow and Polymorph zipping around the arena together. Polymorph almost down the pit. They go down the pit. It was a rookie error from the rookie. Down the pit goes Polymorph. Cron's blow gets 3 points on the board. Well, it was a high-octane and fun-filled fight from the get-go. Good attack early on from Polymorph, using the weapon very, very well, shredding off the side panel of Cron's blow and indeed the wedgelet on Squire. But this moment here is crucial. The weapon once again dislodging itself and coming apart, and then the control factor of Polymorph kind of went out the window. All that weight missing from the front meant they weren't able to control the robot properly, and subsequently ended up in the pits.
Well, Polymorph, you may be down and out, but it's been a pleasure to see your manic driving. Their wheelie errors do leave Chomp and Cron level going into their winners take all play-ins. Let's see who will take it.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
This fight has quite a lot riding on it then. That penultimate fight of the night, Chomp against Cron's blow. This is for our final play-in berth of the series. Oh yes, folks, it is bracket time on the horizon, but first we have to decide our final placings in this heat, and off comes one of the chain chomps of Chomp. They won't want that. Both of these two on 4 points. They both need a victory to finish above the other. They can't finish any higher than third, but if they do finish third, they will have a chance next week of making it into the bracket. We'll have to wait and see who it may be, though. Cron's blow will fancy their chances against Chomp, using the wedge shape at the front of the robot to deflect that horizontal spinner on top of Chomp. Chomp has already lost one of its chain chomps, as mentioned earlier, which means the weapon is now off balance and off kilter. In underneath goes Cron's blow, trying to get that lifter in underneath the Chomp spinner. It has done so, I think. Is it lifting it up? Yes, it is, but not to real effect. Squire, of course, opening the pit. You may have missed, or you may not have missed. You may be more eagle-eyed than I am. Chomp up against it here, I think, given the geometry of the two robots. Good push, though, by Chomp. It's a surprisingly effective little package these days, Chomp. You can't underestimate them, and Cron's blow will be aware of that. They have made the bracket in the past. They'll be hoping to do so once again here, using that lifter to try and pry away the overhead spinner of Chomp, but Chomp is all kinds of unbalanced now. Off comes the face of Cron's blow, ripped away by Chomp. Chomp displaying some good control here, pushing Squire around, just trying to guide Squire maybe down the pit. It may help them later on in the fight. Swinging that weapon is Chomp. Off comes the drivetrain once again of Squire. That's not the first time tonight that that's happened. Chomp now in underneath the lifter of Cron's blow. Cron's blow pinning in against the pit button. Good teamwork from the two once again, pinning back Chomp, leaking it, unable to escape, and therefore unable to get that weapon up to speed. That's crucial for their game plan in this fight and for their recovery plan, because I think at the moment Cron's blow is on top. Their weapon effectiveness has been much better. Their control has been probably a little bit better as well, and their aggressive nature as well naturally has been pretty strong in this match too. So on all points at the moment, I would say Cron's blow is ahead, but a lot could happen in the last sort of minute or so. Squire pinning Chomp against the screws. Good driving from Squire. It's been very effective throughout the night, although it's being pushed back by Chomp. Good control from Chomp there as well. In underneath goes Cron's blow. Can it lever up Chomp? Can it turn it over maybe? It'll be a big ask, and look at it's kind of off balance, but it manages to balance itself out in underneath properly now. Doesn't get it though, has to put Chomp down. Chomp now up to speed and shaking uncontrollably. We are going to get a time between these two, and I think Chomp has got a lot to do and I don't think they're going to quite manage it. Cronsplow has been the superior robot for me, but I'm not the judge. We are going to go to our panel of experts once again to decide the winner of this fight. Well, a bit like its fight earlier on with Atlas, we didn't really see the best of Chomp Romp in this fight, and I think that's mostly due to the nature and geometry of their opponent. Cronsplow is just a natural counter to Chomp Romp, and therefore they were unable to get their weapon into play, especially when they lost one of their flails at the very start of the fight and were unable to really maximise their weapon efficiency in the match. They tried their best. Cronsplow for me was just too strong, and I think the judge's decision will reflect that in a second.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Cronsplow. And so it's Cronsplow who will take their remaining berth in the play-ins, leaving us with our seeds to decide their bracket placing. Both have done better than several of their fellow seeds this series, and a KO for either could take them into the top 4 placings, so let's see who's got enough left in the tank.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
The final fight of the heat, and indeed the final fight of the night, is upon us, and it is between two runners-up. Kraken, our current runner-up from last series, and Atlas, our runner-up from Series 2 of LEGO Wars. And immediately from the get-go, you saw there, falling out of the back of Kraken is one of the drive chains. That will hamper their manoeuvrability somewhat, but they've got some good control and pushing power here on Atlas, and Atlas is bullied into the corner. We don't see that happen very often. Atlas caught in the corner. These two, of course, both already through to the bracket, but a win for either of them will help their ranking, no doubt. Kraken thus far on for a very strong finish indeed, because they've got 2 knockouts and a JD. They almost got a 3rd knockout there as they pushed Atlas towards the pit, but a good impact there from Kraken on the bucket scoop, but it has caused damage to itself. Part of the paneling around the weapon mech has come off. Atlas is currently taking a little bit of a pasting, and so far he's being bullied around the arena. We don't see that very often. Atlas, maybe a sign of the times that our runners-up from yesteryear are no longer of the standard required. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Atlas can turn the tide of the fight, but at the moment Kraken is looking pretty good in this match, and it's been looking pretty good in the heat throughout. I have to say, the seeded 2 machine has been brilliantly effective throughout the night. They've caused problems, they've caused issues for all of their opponents, be it with their weapon, although their weapon has stopped once again here. They'll be frustrated with that, or more likely through their driving skill and driving ability, because Kraken is a very good control bot and they are using that to their advantage here. Atlas, though, they have responded well. They started sluggishly, but they're now starting to get into the fight, and they're trying to push Kraken across the arena, but in turn Kraken pushes Atlas across the arena, and oh my word, almost ended up throwing the robot down the pit. And again, lads, don't do that. Atlas almost just ending it all there, but they've recovered well. Kraken have pushed Atlas, though, into the screws now, and Kraken once again capitalising in this fight. Atlas trying to lift that bucket scoop up. I tried to wonder why they're going to try and just hold the weapon mech of Kraken in place so it can't utilise it, I wonder. I'm not sure. Atlas is now caught in the corner of the arena. They get away, as they're pretty able to do, as they're able to turn on the spot very happily. Oh my word, they are desperately flirting with that pit, aren't they? It's like, I don't know, a desperate guy on a night out. Think he's going to get somewhere. You're not going to get anywhere with that pits, I'll tell you that right now. But Atlas have got away. Kraken now a little bit more cautious, perhaps. Atlas trying to get in underneath this time and push Kraken back. I wonder if they can do it. The second seeds are caught between the pit and Atlas, and we're going to get a time, are we? Unless Atlas can get a very, very late KO here. In every heat bar one, the seeded match has been won by the lower seed, and it happens once again here as Atlas has got Kraken down the pit and has won the heat in the process. What a win from Atlas! Well, our final seed match of the heat was an absolute cracker in my opinion. Kraken did a very, very good job throughout this match despite losing that drive chain early on. Atlas were being bullied around the arena. The Kraken weapon was able to come into play on a number of occasions, but eventually it did stop, as has been tradition throughout this heat. Atlas almost drove down the pit but managed to survive as well. They were thrown into the corner at one point, but it didn't matter. Atlas turned the fight around and pushed Kraken down the pit to secure a famous win for one of the classics.
Despite being on the losing end of most of that fight, Atlas fights back at the death to KO the second seeds. It's been a fun end to our heats tonight as Atlas once again showed why it's still an all-star machine in LEGO Wars as it confirms another international champ makes the bracket, while Kraken seem to be suffering weapon troubles but their drive held on to pull them through. That's all from us tonight, but join us next time as our 14 third place finishes and a couple of champion wildcards enter do or die mode to take the final 4 places in the bracket. For now though, I've been your host, David and Smeg, and we'll see you in the next one.
Raptor weights, let's do it. Let's do it, right?
Yeah.
France.
Let's do that Swedish weight class that they only do it in one hack space.
What is that?
Go again, David. Go again. I have my list set up.
That is
Did you just reverse so hard you fell?
yes, I did.
Try again, everyone.
Okay, right.